Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
California. What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. It's time for another episode of Corner of the Galaxy from the Box, the show that gets you behind the scenes of the LA Galaxy and into the minds of soccer reporters and MLS experts. Your hosts for the day are Corner of the Galaxy's Josh Guesman and LA Times soccer reporter Kevin Baxter. Let's start the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy from the Box on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm your host, Josh Guesman, coming to you on a Monday, February 16th. It is game week, boys and girls, young and old. Welcome back. Games that count will start on Thursday, roll right through Sunday and into the next week. As a matter of fact, when the LA Galaxy kick off on Thursday, there will be four games in a span of 10 days that they will now be ready for. All of these games, by the way, do count. We're going to get you ready for the game against Sporting San Miguelito coming down in Panama. We're going to talk a lot about that. We're also going to talk a little bit about the New York City game as well, because I don't have a show on Thursday because I'm going to be out of town. So everybody, buckle up. It's time to get going. Now, filling in for Mr. Kevin Baxter, who is still in Milan covering curling and ice hockey and everything else, Winter Olympics. We are glad to have him back as always. Please welcome back to the show, Mr. Damian Calhoun. Damian, how's it going, bud?
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Are we sure Kevin's in Milan? He's not taking a vacation?
He could be. I mean, realistically, he did send me a picture of, like, Cortina, and he was like, isn't it beautiful here? But it kind of felt stock footage. Like, it was like he just found it on the internet and sent it out. So your guess is as good as mine. But he occasionally sends me, like, photos from Milan and is like, hey, this is where I'm at. And it's particularly of pandas. So I don't know if he just searches the internet or how that goes.
I think he does, yeah.
His weather is probably better than ours right now, Damian. I'm just, you know... I don't want to say it. I saw the rain coming in sideways today, so I was not a big fan of where it was going in that direction.
Yeah, it was pretty bad today. It kept me from attending today's media sessions. I stayed at home, but yeah, the rain was pretty bad.
They had, I think they did it indoors, obviously, right? They had to move it indoors. And Greg Vanney looked like somebody who had been out in the rain, like getting his hair all messed up and all sorts of stuff. He was, I think you and I were saying, I will say it. He looked like the weather, right? It was sort of like, oh, okay, it's crappy outside, and he was just sort of, he's got the hair tousled, and he probably got soaked. They were training in the absolute downpour today, so I don't know if that helps him. Maybe it's going to rain in Panama. I mean, that's always a good chance. It will be warmer in Panama, though. I can almost guarantee.
Yeah, a lot warmer.
Yeah,
and a good thing, it won't be raining. Well, it probably won't be raining Sunday for this home opener, so that's
fingers crossed. There's some stuff, there's some stuff out there that I'm watching, and I'm sort of like, oh, okay, I guess we'll see whether or not we get any weather there. But yeah, this is crazy to me that you're seeing all of the just like how it wraps up. It felt like the off season just started. This was actually a theme because I was talking to Greg today about it whenever we got our media availability for today. But just like how fast everything has gone, Damian. I mean, it was a long off season for the LA Galaxy, and there was a time there where we weren't getting a lot of information. There wasn't a lot of stuff going on. But whenever it finally kicked off and we got through to the new year and the Galaxy started signing players and doing all the stuff, it feels like that happened relatively, like last week. And all of a sudden now the Galaxy are playing games that counted. I don't remember it feeling this rushed. Do you have that same feeling, or is it just this year for me?
Yeah, I think it. I mean, it's weird because coming off of 24, they had a quick turnaround. You played until December, and you had to kick off a Champions Cup, but mid-February. But this year it seems to be quick. They were the first. They were the first one of the first teams eliminated last year. But yeah, it's like I said, as soon as the calendar hit 2026, it's been going. And here we are, game week.
Yeah, game week. Crazy too. Now, just in case you're living under a rock, once again, we'd like to tell you what is coming up for the LA Galaxy. We said 4 games, 10 days. Here's the calendar that proves that out. Way down to Panama is where the LA Galaxy will go. They'll be home on Sunday for the home opener in Major League Soccer against New York City. Then it is home to Sporting San Miguelito again for the second leg on Wednesday, February 25th. And then the 28th, the last day of the month of February, Charlotte comes to town to take on the LA Galaxy. So, Damian, as I think you're pointing out, at least the Galaxy are staying home for that week, right? They have to travel a long way down to Panama, but they will make it back, and then they have 3 home games in a row. So, do you think that helps?
I think it has to help. Of course, you got to go. I mean, they're traveling down tomorrow, I believe, and then right back after the game. Then you get back for 3 games in a week. It's a tight crunch there next week. Probably won't be a lot of full team training sessions in that week, but at least you'll be home where you can sort of recover, guys at their own pace, whatever, and then just sort of set your goals at looking at that next week, 3 games at home.
Yeah, it's interesting. And by the way, do you want? I think we should share the map now. This is the part where if you're on the podcast and you're not on the video part, not as much fun. Okay, I'm going to be honest, it's not as much fun. But having said that, the map is outstanding. Let's watch the LA Galaxy's journey from Dignity Health Sports Park down to Panama, and we will get a mile count on this. So away the LA Galaxy go. And yes, I did actually trace the roads. That way the bus would be traveling on the freeways it was supposed to be traveling on. Did do a little swerve there, but you can see the LA Galaxy. And as Greg Devaney said today, Damian, you can't get much further in CONCACAF than Panama, right? So a long trip all the way down there. And by the way, once they land in Panama, right, still some ways to go. So a total one-way travel journey, approximately a little over 3,300 miles for the LA Galaxy, okay? I know everybody loves these charts. This is everybody's new favorite thing. They're just going to tune in for the animations, which will go away for a little while because the LA Galaxy aren't going anywhere. They're at home. Maybe I'll go from Manhattan Beach up to the Dignity Health Sports Park in like a sports car, and that'll be how the LA Galaxy travel up to everything. I think it's really interesting. First of all, I would like to point out, trying to find anything on San Miguelito is a tough task right now, right? And I don't know that you should be overly concerned, but they are top in the league right now after 5 games played. They have 8 points of their last 5 games. The only 5 games they have 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss somewhere in the center there. They are tops in that league right now, standing over Taro as well and Arriba Unido. So if you're a big Panamanian football fan, I'm sure you know who Sporting San Miguelito are. However, saying that, I think Rob was talking to Greg, and I think we'll transition a little over to the media availability because I think it provides maybe the most insight. But Rob was talking, and he said, is there more pressure on you guys knowing that you guys are favorites on paper? And if we're being honest, Damian, the Galaxy are favorites on paper through the next 2 rounds. It's this round and the next round. We're guaranteed the Galaxy will be favorites for these. But what do you make of going down to play a team in Panama, having to travel the 3,300 miles? That's not a quick flight, by the way. That's a long flight to get all the way down there. I mean, it could only be longer if they were in like Vancouver, right? That would be that would be the only way to make that trip any longer. It's just to me, it feels like all the pressure will be on the Galaxy. What did you hear? What did you think of Greg and sort of his response today?
Yeah, I think he sort of, if I remember correctly, he agreed with Rob, if I'm not mistaken. You got to think. Of course, it's never easy going down to CONCACAF. We've all heard the stories and seen games where it's a tight stadium. There's times when the water sprinklers will pop up and turn the game on. Or maybe there's a dog running across the field. There's all some kind of weird stories going on in CONCACAF. But they're the favorite. They got to come out of start your season off right. You got to come out of there with a win. 2-3 goal win if you can, set you up for a good way to advance out of this group and sort of get your season off on a strong foot.
Yeah, it is important, and I think just to erase all the bad taste of last year's start, that the Galaxy in these first 4 games put up some results, and I think that'll sort of calm everything. It'll allow the Galaxy to sort of ease their way into the season and be able to play through some of these games. But I also think, it relieves sort of some of the pressure that it'll be mounting on Will Kuntz or Greg Vanney or, the coaching staffs and how they're sort of trying to do it. There needs to be a better start than was last year. And that's like the understatement of the year. Like, I think, going another winless in 16 games is probably not the way to start a season. I'm just going to suggest that. But seeing this and this game in Panama, listen, I mean, Avila in the chat room says won't be easy by any means because the Panamanian team is already 5 games into their season, so they're already feeling it. They're going good, and for the most part, these are going to be young guys. They're going to be athletic. They're looking to take advantage of the LA Galaxy, and I think that's what Greg was hinting at, which was like there's not a lot to lose for them, right? And wouldn't they love? Imagine the motivation of being able to take down a world power such as the LA Galaxy, and that's not a brag. There are a few teams in Major League Soccer that can kind of count themselves as world powers in soccer, and the LA Galaxy brand is one of those. So everybody on that Panamanian team is going to just be screaming with their hair on. They probably can't sleep tonight, Damian, because they're already thinking about the game that's coming up on Thursday night. So I think that's really important to sort of put into perspective. The idea for the Galaxy is to get through this game, I think. Yes, multi-goal win would be awesome. A draw is okay. Like, there's things that can happen. But I think it also puts more pressure, and I think this is something you and I were talking about before we came on, puts more pressure on the lineups that are going to be shown. Because, again, we're going to go back to this calendar. Now, Damian, we've been hearing from Greg Vanney, whether that was at Coachella or anywhere else, that there's a good chance that you could see 2 sort of separate lineups to start the season because there are 4 games in 10 days. And we've seen sort of the lineups that were presented at Coachella and how they were sort of rotated out and a whole bunch of things. I think Greg Vanney had some good insight into that. We can talk about that here in a second. But in order to uphold sort of the B team, A team, and I think there's going to be a mix of players for all those, you need to get a result in Panama so that way you can then go ahead and continue that path that you're going to play on Wednesday whenever you play the return leg. So I was asking Damian before we started, and this is a good poll sort of question that we can ask the chat room or anybody who's listening as well. Which we think there's an A lineup. We think there's a B lineup. We think the A lineup is the team that played against Chicago. We think probably the B lineup is the team that played against St. Louis. That's what we think. It could be wrong. Greg Vanney could tell us we're all crazy, and then they're flipped over. Okay, I just from an observer, Damian. That's what I'm going with. All right.
Yeah.
So is it the A lineup that plays against San Miguelito because it's CONCACAF and it's a elimination tournament, right? So you have 2 legs, but you got to play it like you got to win it because if you don't, you're going to be out of it. Is the A lineup on Thursday down in Panama, or is that the B lineup down in Panama? I know.
I'm going with B lineup in Panama, A lineup at home, just to get your home, going to your home opener with some kind of momentum, excitement. You struggled at home last year to start the season off, coming off a year where you were unbeaten at home in 24. I say there's some sort of a B lineup to start the season off in Panama, come back with your A lineup on Sunday, and then that second leg is where you probably mix and match, depending on what you need. If you're a goal down, if you're a goal 2-3 goals up, maybe that's when you sort of mix and match there, set you up for Saturday, another home league game where you can sort of get the A lineup back together and run them out again. But hey, that's why the coaching staff is making the big bucks. They're coming up with all the plans, all the numbers and everything. They have all the grits. They talk about the sports science and all that. So they're working all that through. But if I was the coach, I probably would have been fired by now. But
yes,
if I was the coach, I would go B lineup and then A lineup on Sunday.
No, and I see that. And I think everybody, the chat room in general agrees with you, right? Which means we're all going to be wrong 100%.
Yeah.
We'll get that one wrong for sure. I will say this is the important part of that. If you want the LA Galaxy to have the start that you dreamed of in Major League Soccer and in CONCACAF Champions Cup, then getting the result on Thursday in Panama is super important. That 2-1 or 2-0 is really an important thing because that allows you to stay on the schedule, Damian. It allows you to stay without having to play a lot of your A guys Wednesday, right? Like you could probably sprinkle a couple in if you want to. But at this point in the preseason, having this many games so close together is not necessarily a thing you want to do. So splitting the lineups, giving people the 7 days, giving people the max rest you can between it is really advantageous to you. And if you want the start that the LA Galaxy want, which is to go down and get a result in Panama, come home and beat New York City, right, at home for the season opener. Finish off your result and close out Concacaf in the first round with the midweek and knock that out of the park. So you can go B lineup, A lineup, B lineup. And if you can do that and all those things go according to plan, this is like the plan A, best plan you're going to get. If you can do that, then you're back to A lineup without a lot of rotation against Charlotte on the 28th of February, that Saturday. And again, 4 games, 10 days is a lot. It's especially a lot when you have guys who are just coming off of preseason. I thought it was really interesting, though, that one, we can talk about Greg Vanney, and he said, don't quote me on this, which is always something that we're like, yeah, well, absolutely. What are this? You're talking. We're going to be quoting. So, right? I mean, it was the whole deal. But he said that the sports science guys told him, and he had a meeting about this, that I think they put in 15 to 20,000 more kilometers. It can't be that many. That seems too high. That's so many miles, Damian. That's so in the preseason. Basically, maybe 1,500 to 2,000 K, maybe kilometers. Let's go with that. 1,500 to 2,000. No, that still seems too high.
It's a lot. Yeah,
it's a lot.
But one thing Evans Surreal said, he said that they've been running a lot.
Yes.
So maybe the number is right. Who knows? I mean,
if the number is correct, and I swear I wrote that down, whatever that number ends up being, 1,500, 2,000 extra kilometers, it still seems like a lot of Ks. But what it means is that the guys got more running and covered more miles in the preseason I think there's 2 reasons here that the LA Galaxy are going to get in that. One is that I think they started with the intensity. Greg Vanney said the guys showed up in shape and that they were able to get into it and into what they were supposed to do quickly, right? So that was one thing. Mm-hmm. The second thing is they had more people in camp this time because everybody was in camp basically to start. The last guy who showed up was Eric Tommy, and he still made the season ticket member event, right? So, I mean, that was before they went down to Coachella. So they've been putting in, 1, they have the people there. 2, they've been putting in the miles. They've been doing the stuff that they're supposed to be doing. That's a lot of kilometers. I'm reading the chat room. I'm pretty sure Michael Scott said that's a lot of kilometers. So those are the things that I think are leading right now to the LA Galaxy, maybe feeling a little bit better about where they are. Tell me more about Edwin, because I had to come in right whenever Greg came in. I got like the last question I think from Edwin, and then I saw everything else. But what else did Cerrillo say about the difference between this year, last year, and everything else?
Yeah, well, if there's anybody who looked like they were out in the rain, it was certainly him. He came in. He looked like he had been out in the rain for a while there. One of my questions was just learning from last year. I mean, you're riding high off winning the MLS Cup, and then you hit rock bottom the following year. And one thing he said, what Guy said back in, I think, January, he said, it's key to start the season off strong. And I think guys are really sort of looking at this opener here as a way to get the season going off to the right start. He also talked about having a chip on his shoulder. I think that's been knocked off the last couple of years. 24, you're king of the block, and then 25, you get punched in the gut, and you're down at the bottom of the league. But I think that's sort of motivating the group to sort of get things turned back around and see if they can get back. I don't know if they're making an MLS Cup run, but get back to respectability, and then try and build that out. Putting together 2-3 strong years instead of going up, down, up, down, up, down, the way they've been the last couple of years.
The last thing Edwin Cerrillo needs is a chip on his shoulder again. That kid. And by the way, missing the New York City game because he's suspended for yellow card accumulation last year, right? Yeah. So
I forgot about it.
Just the whole thing. But I heard that he was saying that there's so much more competition, and that you can just tell on the levels of training. I've sort of been saying something similar, just talking to people who've been around the club, which is you're seeing that there's more competition. You're seeing that the intensity of trainings has picked up from one year to last year. I think it helps. And Will Kuntz was talking about today because the LA Galaxy released their first episode of their like behind the scenes that they do on YouTube, right? And so they were talking about all the medical testing they do and then getting out to training and the whole deal. And Kuntz was sort of saying, having everybody in early is also helping. Just there's new faces, but there's also guys who have been around the league. So like, Jakob Glesnes isn't going to like fret about having to go down to Panama and play a game in Panama. Like that's not a thing. Or whenever it comes to MLS, if he's in MLS, New York City, he knows New York City. Justin Hack, that's his old team. All these guys are vets. Eric Tommy is a veteran of this league who can play in a lot of ways. So all the guys they added, including Klaus as well, they all seem to have something that they can lend the LA Galaxy early in the season to sort of be like, it doesn't feel like this team needs to adjust to the beginning of the season. It feels like they should be ready for that. You think that's fair?
Yeah, I think it's fair. I know, what was it last year when we sort of heard that they were going to look more inside the league than normal, and then that's the way it played out here. You got veterans, guys who've been around. It's a good mix, the veteran mix, also with the good guys you're looking for Elijah Winder and Sanabrio's second year, and see how they sort of continue their growth from last year, the second half of the year, where they both sort of found their footing, so to speak, there.
Yeah, we did get injury updates. Let's get over those so you know what's going on. But this is for the game coming up on Thursday in Panama. Right now, we have Rindolph out, Tommy's out, Parente is out. Winder will be questionable. He's close to coming back. And then Nelson and Cuevas, who were out, I think, a little bit during this preseason, are both back in. So those are your updates for a pretty generous LA Galaxy injury report in terms of, that's not horrible. The one I think that they would like to see the most right now is maybe Tommy, because then it allows you to sort of play him opposite of Royce in some of these places. But again, I think he's going to get there and get that. Now, the other thing is, we don't know what a lot of those injuries are. Parente apparently was still weeks. I think Tommy is still a couple weeks as it sort of looks like, but we'll see if that ends up changing here as we get closer, because with 4 games, all of a sudden you're going to see a whole bunch of people rotating and doing everything else. So we'll keep our eye on that for the injury updates. I was talking to Greg Vanney about Coachella and then just how quickly everything has happened. And I said, did it feel like this preseason was hectic for you? Because to me, it feels like it was so quick. And he goes, I thought everything was fine until we went to Coachella. And he goes, and just the way that we played those games, the Sunday and then the Wednesday and then the Friday, he goes, they were so quick back to back. He goes, then I felt rushed. Then it felt like there were 2 different teams. These guys were doing this. Like there weren't a lot of training days in between and all the sort of stuff that goes in there. And he said that, and I went after he gave his response, which I thought was a fair response. I said, does that almost like help you with what's going to happen at the beginning of the season? He goes, yeah. He goes, actually, that's what we were thinking. And he's already told the guys. He goes, there aren't going to be a lot of training days in these first couple weeks. There's just not going to be. So we're going to have to be able to put things in, via video, where we're going to watch video and say, this is how we need to do this. We're not going to have time to train it. We're not going to have time to practice it. But this is what you can. So don't expect to have a whole bunch of trainings at the beginning of these 2 weeks. Now, I think last year that would have and did sort of petrify the team, right? It sort of kept them from going where they needed to go and all those sort of things. I think we can be optimistic and say that the guys they brought in are adapting well enough to what Greg is asking. And Will Kuntz made comment in the video that's just like, it's not always easy to play in Greg Vanney's system, so you have to get here, and being in camp allows them to do it. So it feels like they checked off all the boxes. And Greg's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I sort of got the feeling from Greg was, we will figure out how to play. I need to make sure that everybody was physically ready to play for these games, and we'll worry about everything else sort of as it comes. And with the veterans they have and the guys who are returning from last year, that should be okay. But if it doesn't, then that's going to be a criticism right there. I mean, that's going to be something that you look at and say, you should have had more time together, the whole deal. But ultimately, the Galaxy have put almost in every day that they could possibly have together. They have been together. So it's crazy to me to feel how rushed this offseason or this preseason has been. And then it's going to go into the season, and it's going to be, I don't know if any of you have told your significant others that you're going to be at Dignity Health Sports Park 3 like every other day for the next week is basically how it's going to go, right? But I did, and it didn't go over well. All right, it wasn't the whole thing. So there's a lot of games coming up, for the LA Galaxy here in a short amount of time. Who are you looking forward to, Damian, from the preseason? Just sort of seeing what they can do on this team. Maybe it's somebody new. Maybe it's returning guys. Who are you keeping your eye on?
I think it's a guy like Gabriel Peck. Well, I think he led the team in goals for preseason. I know Greg fielded a question about him today. I think he's due for a bounce back year. Him and Paintsel on the wings there, and then also Klaus. I mean, how does he sort of fit into this group? I mean, Greg said he sort of played Peck a perfect ball that sort of led to a goal. So is he dropping back more into that sort of midfield role sometimes and playing forward? And then how do they find him on the other end? A lot of questions. But yeah, my first pick would be Peck to see how he sort of can he carry over that momentum from the preseason.
Yeah, I think the hammer on Thursday was sort of like, I want to see what Peck can do. Like, show me what that offense is going to do and how they're going to play. I was looking at sort of the game previews or the club previews for some teams, and I was looking at the LA Galaxy's one, and Damian, close your ears so you don't hear this and you're not a part of this. I don't want you to be guilty by association, but MLS needs to remove their heads from their butts. This is just like the most. Listen, I know that we're like MLS sickos over here, and maybe the MLS website is sort of catering, although it used to cater to like hardcore stats guys and a whole bunch of other stuff. It now seems to cater to like preschoolers, and they're like, the LA Galaxy wear white and blue. I mean, that's about the level of analysis that we've seen from some of it. But basically, they were saying, we can't wait to see what the high-powered offense of João Klaus and Gabriel Peck and Joseph Paintsel. I'm like, yeah. Okay, that's a point. But really, the LA Galaxy went out and got 2 defenders and tried to make their defense like way better. And for a team that gave up a zillion goals last year, trying to give up half a zillion goals this year with some of the things, it would be a huge improvement. Like, you could go through and actually talk about this team in the way they are. You could dive into a Sanabria, and I think you talked about it, his second year. Elijah Winder, his second year. Seeing what those guys are going to do. Even Isaiah Parente, and seeing how he takes a step forward. Tucker freaking Lepley plays like Ricky Puig, and he's the only person who comes anywhere close to Ricky Puig. All right? He's a poor man's Ricky Puig, but he should be ecstatic that that's how he's being described. How does Tucker Lepley step up this year and do things? I'll be honest, whenever I saw him play at CVI, I was sort of like, man, I wish he was playing more in the middle because I get a better feeling from him when he plays in the middle. He plays out wide, and I think you miss something from him. But I want to see those guys. I want to see that sort of play out. I want to see Justin Hack at a 6 and a 6 next to Cerrillo. 2 6s and a 10 from Marco Royce, or a false 9 Marco Royce, right? Like something like that. There's so many exciting things that I think we're excited to see. And from what I saw from the Coachella games, I'll be honest, I think I was a little disappointed in sort of how they played and how the defense played in both of the games I sort of watched. That being said, they were clean sheet against St. Louis, so I don't know that I can really complain all that much, but I also don't rate St. Louis real high in terms of where I think they're going to be. So if we're saying that the best team they played against was Chicago Fire, then I say that they're pretty even with the Chicago Fire. It was probably should have been 3-3, should have been 2-2. Somebody won that game, and it was Chicago because they took advantage. Greg talked about the preseason, and things I want to see is, he said, I thought sometimes the team didn't try to force the issue or pin people back and put pressure on them. Like he said, we got pressured a lot. He goes, and sometimes I'm like, we can also pressure people. Like we can flip the script on them. And he wanted to see more of that control in that. So, I think there's so many, the unknown right now is exciting, but I also think that can go from exciting to, oh, here we go again real fast if you don't get some of the results that I think that they should get. Yeah, it's just an interesting place for the Galaxy to be. The depth is really there. Even Scott French today was talking about, like, you see night and day depth between it. But the reason the depth is there is because you have guys who are on their second years who showed that they could play towards the end of last season. So you're excited about that. I just don't know how to gauge this Galaxy team going into, a CONCACAF Champions Cup match in Panama. And it's sort of like, well, flip a coin. You kind of don't know what. Yes, I expect the LA Galaxy to in a perfect world, they win that game 2-0 and they're happy campers coming back and everything's fine. but Concacaf is very rarely the perfect world. And so, like, you're going to go down there and then you have to battle your butts off to try and get a result. I don't know. It's really interesting. I think there's so many different things that Vandy can pull the trigger on and morph in different ways that, I mean, right now I think I'm almost like starstruck with possibilities of what it could be. This is what it could be. You know, it's like before, whenever we used to go see really good movies, like we're trying to think of some of those, like Dumb and Dumber. If you ever saw Dumb and Dumber in the theater, you're like, man, this seems really stupid. Then you went in there, like, it is stupid and it's awesome, right? So those are the types of things that I'm sort of looking at.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to the point about the depth. I mean, there's so many. I think they're deep all over all over the field. Just a matter of finding the right pieces. I think he can. I know a long time ago we pressured Greg about formations and he said something about formations is just whatever you put on paper. Whatever. I don't remember the full quote.
Sounds like a Bruce quote.
Yeah. But I think he can. There's so many different options that he can work with this group here. That I think you will see some of that Thursday next week. I mean, later, whatever the 3 games next week. I think you're going to see some of that stuff as he sort of build take this week, next week, and build toward the rest of the season.
And if it doesn't go their way, right? Like if it starts bad at the beginning, if San Miguelito's a little mini disaster there, right? If you come home to New York City and they beat, the whole idea of 2024 was having Dignity Health Sports Park sort of this fortress. If they falter early, I mean, does this team? I'll ask the question. I think I would have an answer for this, but does this team have the experience to be able to brush that off and be like, not again? Like, it's not happening again. We're not going to let it happen again. You heard Justin Hack talking about how he loved watching the LA Galaxy play because of how they play, right? Like, just in terms of how they control the ball. It's a very player-friendly type of soccer, right? And and people in here, I love it. I love control. I love quick counters whenever they're available. And Greg was even talking about breaking the press and not always having to play through the back. And, hey, again, a lot of times, some of the things that happen in games where, we talk about the Vandy ball where it's a slow build-up and stuff like that. Greg's very happy when it's not a slow build-up and that they're able to exploit out on the wings. It's just, sometimes teams fall into those traps. But, I'm excited to see how they face sort of that adversity and whether or not the players, the Jakob Glesnes, I'll tell you, Greg was asked if he had a third captain, right? Because Maya Yoshida is the captain. Whenever he's not on the field, then it's usually Marco Royce. And if neither of them are on there, who isn't in? And Greg goes, well, I have a leadership group that I can call on, so it'll probably be one of those guys. But he goes, I haven't thought of a third captain. And then BS. It's Jakob Glesnes, and everybody knows it. All right, I'm telling you right now. Again, it just my 2 cents, but I'm telling you, it's Jakob Glesnes who's going to be back there. I bet he wears the captain's armband a lot this year.
Yeah, I think those 4, Maya, Marco, Jakob, and Surreal.
Yeah.
I think that's probably your 4 captain guys, sort of, that is sort of, one guy comes off, 2 guys come off, here's a third guy, 4th guy there.
By the way, I want to shout out to the chat room who's doing awesome. They're talking about Julian Araujo right now, right? And if you haven't seen Julian Araujo, who has been playing and starting for Celtic in the Scottish Premier League, you should go on social media and find some videos of young Mr. Julian Araujo going in there and scoring a banger winner for Celtic and jumping into the stands. And his post-game press conference was awesome too. He was sort of saying, they were like, was that one of the tops, sort of thing? Was that one of the top moments that you had? And he goes, yeah, absolutely. He goes, top. He goes, I don't know. I scored. He goes, and then I'm in the stands. He goes, and people are kissing me. He goes, and I have no idea what's going on. He goes, I don't even know, right? And but seeing Julian Araujo be, successful in the Scottish Premier League. Listen, I'll tell you, I think there are a ton of MLS players who can go out and be competent in the Scottish Premier League, right? I don't think that the level is extremely high, but it is a passionate group of people that you are playing around. Rangers and Celtic and sort of usually a 2-horse race, but we'd love to see what everything else is whenever it comes down. But seeing Julian Araujo do that. The big problem is, and if I believe I'm correct, is that he's on loan to Celtic. And he's already I don't think he'll ever have to buy a beer in anywhere near the stadium ever again. But trying to keep him there would be really interesting. Somebody suggested he come back to Major League Soccer. I'm like, I don't think that's happening. Right now, what he's doing is, Bournemouth are going to try and recoup a lot of money for him because of how well he's playing at Celtic. So, I don't know that they're going to use him at Bournemouth, but they should. They're morons if they don't. But seeing that the transfer game and how much money you can make off of transfers is a really important part of how world football is going. So it's just one of those crazy things. But, shout out. I remember the first time I ever interviewed Julian Araujo. God, we got Julian Aude and then Julian. It's too much. It's too much for my head. But first time I ever interviewed Araujo was in the parking lot at Dignity Health Sports Park before a game because he was going to be on the bench for one of the games. We were talking to his mom and his, and beforehand I was with Kevin, and then we talked to Julian. It was sort of, this little kid, and now he's out there scoring bangers for Celtic. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, that was a great goal.
It was a lot of fun.
Great goal, great celebration.
Yeah, it's always good. There is a viewing party, I believe, for the Panama game coming up on Thursday. And is Panama really 3 hours ahead of California? Is that, we were talking about it because we were looking at it earlier.
I thought they said it might have been 2 hours.
Yeah, well, that was whenever we were talking after the press conference because we were trying to figure out when the match day -1 press conference is going to be and what time that'll be. It was one of those. We'll figure. Somebody in the chat room look it up. Is it 3 hours? I just want to know. So
yeah, 3 hours.
3 hours. 3 hours, man. That is so. Oh man, time zones.
I mean, it's way down.
Damian,
it's almost in South America, right?
Damian, the map shows you, where it's going. All right,
this map needs music. You need music with this map.
I would love. We need a good theme song for the map whenever I play the maps. But look at it, past Guatemala and Nicaragua, then down to Panama. I mean, Colombia.
Yeah, Colombia.
Colombia's right there. I love that we're now a geography podcast. It's like I'm learning things all the time. By the way, if I remember correctly, let me see if I want to make sure I get this. Estadio Universidad Latina, okay, is the name of the stadium. And if I remember, and it was the correct stadium, by the way, that bus, I'm telling you right now, that I have that goes there stops dead at that stadium because that's the kind of attention to detail that I like to have. But it's it kind of looks like whenever the San Jose Earthquakes used to play at that glorified high school, and yeah, it was always a good time. But
San Jose State Stadium.
Yeah. No, I think that was the really nice one. What was there was another one that they played at before they went to PayPal that the Galaxy used to go up there. The San Jose State Stadium was bigger.
Bigger than Spartan? Oh, wow.
It was it was I remember because I was in the stands there. I can't remember. Somebody will remember what the name of where they used to play. Maybe I'm misremembering and Damian's correct, but I was there a couple times. I remember it. But it's small, man. It is not a lot. So expect that you're sort of, this is going to be one of those Giants versus the Minnows, and I guarantee you San Miguelito is going to just throw an absolute fit while they're there. How tall do you think the grass will be?
Oh, how wet you think it's going to be? They're gonna water, turn the water on
right
the night before. It's soak out the field. Yeah, it's gonna
Buckshaw Stadium, Damian. Buckshaw Stadium, where San Jose Buckshaw.
Okay.
Oh man, it's in? Oh man, it was so. But that's sort of the vibes. But I'm guessing. There will be grass that's real tall, and then there's going to be, grass that's probably not as much, and then it'll probably rain and be hot and be weird, humid weather, and these guys are I don't even know how you do it. I was freezing all day today, and it was just because it was raining, so I don't know how it is. Something else that somebody brought up to me, and it's true because we've been talking about it, is that the LA Galaxy still have some shopping to do. They still need 2 more international slots. Because that's whenever roster freeze comes. I imagine that they can manipulate the CONCACAF roster so that way they don't have any problems. But then they have a roster freeze. Basically, they have to be compliant, I think, on Friday. And so on Friday, they will have to do it. So they still need 2 more international slots in order to be able to do that, just in case you were playing the home game. Because I don't think they're going to get rid of any one of these internationals. The Gino Vivi one, which I believe we said was official last on Thursday, but officially going to the Tampa Bay Rowdies, though, and they finally announced it, although Damian, you knew about it, and then I confirmed it at Coachella right after you told me about it. And then they finally put out the confirmation, I think, last week. So we have that. He's off the list. But, I mean, you're not going to get rid of Paintsel, Peck, Royce, Yamane, Sanabria, Nascimento, Yoshida, Garces, Aude, Mitrovic, or Klaus, right? I don't think any of those are going anywhere.
Yeah, I think they're safe.
Yeah, I think.
And also, these slots are not going for cheap right now either. They are expensive.
Inflation, man. You know what MLS needs to do? They need to throw in a couple extra spots, right? That's what they needed to do. Just like a couple extra. If you just gave, and by the way, I think you should get extra. Hey, this is what you do, Damian. Is you say we're going to give you 10 extra slots. Now there's not 10 teams. Not everybody gets one. No. That's not how this works. All right. What we will do is we will do a lottery system. We'll apply these 10 slots. If you get the slot, you have to pay. If you're offered the slot, you have to pay like $150,000 in general allocation money to keep it. And then so you go through the whole thing, and then you could keep it, and then you could flip that for more money for somebody who needs it if you want. Like, so everybody's going to take it because they're going to like, now I can sell these. Dude, I'm telling you, it would make it some people money. It would influx another 10 or so slots into there, and it would open some things up. So it would level prices while also making people money. I think once again, it's why I'm running to be the next commissioner of Major League Soccer.
It's got some work to do, and boy, they're not cheap right now.
No, they're not. They're not. But there is a viewing party at Absolution Brewery for the Concacaf Champions Cup. So definitely something that you need to pay attention to. And if you want to go to that, you can. Let's talk a little bit more about the LA Galaxy and where MLS people think the LA Galaxy are headed to, Damian. This was part of the preview. This is where they said the projected 11. By the way, you couldn't pay me money right now to project an 11 that doesn't include Amiro Garces in there. And what I would do if you're putting this is I think there's question marks in a lot of places. I think your top three with Paintsel, Klaus, and Peck are pretty much locks, and that's fine. Good. Easy. That's the easy part. Marco Royce, yeah, probably. In your best starting, that's fine. So he's going to be your 10. Cerrillo, yes. Sanabria, don't know. I might put Hack up where Sanabria is, and I might move Amiro Garces into that center back role, and I would consider that maybe my best starting 11 with John Nelson on one side and Miki Imani on the other side, and Mitrovic in goal. So I think that I think if you asked me to write this article, I could give you like two sort of projected 11s that I thought. And if you made me settle on one, I don't know that Sanabria would be in there and Garces would be on the bench. I think that there's too much movement for me to get. In my mind, I need to get Hack, Glesnes, and Garces on the field all at the same time. Yeah. All right. And so how do you do that? You move Sanabria somewhere. Now, I think Sanabria is going to be good, Damian. He's one of my guys to sort of watch. But I think if you're talking best 11, like you have to win one game, that may be the way I go.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would add Harbor Miller. I would have to get Harbor. Watching him in the St. Louis game, one of the games that were on TV from Coachella because I was too lazy to drive way out there.
Yeah, I know.
Keeping him off the field this year is going to be a challenge. I don't know how they're going to do it, but he needs to be on the field.
We'll watch how it goes. I think there's going to be a lot of that. I think you're going to see a lot of 5 sub changes for this LA Galaxy team, and I think the Galaxy will get better when they make subs. It'll be one of those where you're going to get fresh legs against tired legs and guys who can play. So I'm excited to see that. Now, another thing that happened is that MLS personalities, and thank God I'm not one of these people, because if you want to ask me where people are going to finish every year, I'm going to be so wrong so the time. There are some outliers, though, and we'll certainly talk about it. Let's see. The Eastern Conference. This is how MLS personalities have voted, both on the Eastern Conference and Western Conference, of where they expect these teams to finish. Somebody pointed out that some people had the Vancouver Whitecaps finishing like 12th to 14th last year, and they did much better than that. So these are not always accurate, as we all know. But I always think that there's going to be one team that does, this is in my rules, Damian, there's one team that's going to do way better than you thought they were going to be. And there's one team that you thought was going to be good that's not going to be good in each conference. So you have one that's going to be higher and one that's going to be lower than sort of where everybody puts them. And so that's sort of my thing, is let's try to identify those ones. There's no surprise. The Eastern Conference, it is Inter Miami, and it's everybody else after them. If you did a single table, Inter Miami would be the favorites to win MLS Cup this year. They've reloaded, they've gotten younger, and I might argue they may have gotten better. But we will see how that plays out. But it's Inter Miami, FC Cincinnati, Nashville. Nashville jumping up. I think everybody really liked their offseason for the most part, so I can understand that. Philadelphia Union, after losing Glesnes, still up there in the number 4 spot. So we'll see it. Chicago Fire. I think that's one of my sleepers. Chicago Fire. They have them at 5th, and you're like, Josh, they're at 5th. I think they're a top 3 team in the East this year. Let's watch. Greg Berhalter, I really like him. He's a really good coach. I know people don't often think that, but I think he's a good coach. And so I think Berhalter's going to have. So that's one for me. A team that I think could struggle is actually right above them, which is like Philadelphia Union. I'm watching to see how that reshapes this year. And they were the Supporter Shield last year, and they're already knocked down to 4th. And how does that sort of look? So that's sort of there. So we go Philadelphia in 4th, Chicago in 5th, Charlotte in 6th. The LA Galaxy playing Charlotte on the 28th, just a reminder. 7th for Columbus, New York City at 8th. LA Galaxy starting the season opener against New York City. They're predicted to be 8th, so mid-table in the Eastern Conference. You have Orlando City, Red Bull New York, Atlanta United, New England Revolution, Toronto FC, DC United, and CF Montreal. I bet you that DC United finishes under Montreal. That's just my whole thing. All right. Somebody said Cincinnati's way too high. Could be. DC United will win the league. Yeah, you want to call sleepers? You got to get DC United above the playoff line. That's where that's the fun one. So, anything in there that you want to comment on? And you can say no, and we can move over to the Western Conference. But Eastern Conference wise,
just one team I'm looking out for is Nashville. I think I don't know if they can beat Miami, but they can make a run. Number 2 or 3, I believe. And then Philly at 4. Yeah, it lost a lot of pieces.
Right.
So how do they sort of bounce back? They sort of. Yeah, I don't know about 4th. That's kind of high. It's kind of high for them.
Okay.
And I think Orlando City down there at 9. That's probably a team to keep an eye on as well.
I keep forgetting. Did they fire Oscar Pereja yet? Because if they didn't, then they will make the playoffs. And Oscar Pereja, the coach of all coaches, will find a way to get that team who spends no money into the playoffs.
I don't know if they did or not, but no, he's still there. He's
still there. Good. He's one of my favorite coaches. Absolutely. Oscar Pereja will find a way to make. It doesn't matter whether you have like 3 kittens and a turtle. He will figure out a way to get them across the playoff line, 100%. So that's that. Let's go over to the Western Conference now. Always fun in the Western Conference. This is how it was voted. These are averages, and then we will go into where the LA Galaxy and how they voted the LA Galaxy in at number 5. So there's your surprise. The LA Galaxy at number 5. Number 1, LAFC. Bouanga's staying. Son is there. It would seem to me that everybody's really leaning on them to have the year that they expected them to. Last year, when they did fall shorter than maybe they should have and ran into a good Vancouver Whitecaps team. Vancouver Whitecaps at number 2. We'll talk about them in a second. San Diego at number 3. San Diego already started CONCACAF Champions Cup, beat the ever-living crap out of Pumas, so let's keep watching them and seeing their Seattle Sounders. Listen, you could put the Seattle Sounders between 3 and 6, and you're going to be right every year, right? Like
every year,
you're just going to be there, right? So you know that. The LA Galaxy at 5, Austin FC at 6. Way too high for Austin. I can't believe Austin.
Way too high for Austin.
Way too high for Austin. Come on now. What did they do in the offseason that was so wonderful that I'm missing? Like, plus I just don't believe in Austin. You could have 3 Zlatans and I'd be like, Austin will find a way to screw that up. That's probably the Anthony Precourt, sort of I don't know, the slant view that I have of him and all that sort of. Minnesota United at 7, Portland at 8, Houston at 9, FC Dallas at 10, Real Salt Lake at 11. 12th is the San Jose Earthquakes. Bruce is getting no respect. They lost a lot of people. I understand that.
Though, yeah.
I might want to pick them though. We'll see. St. Louis City in there, Colorado Rapids, and then Sporting Kansas City. Well, because Sporting Kansas City has like 12 players and the coach who can't get into the country. So that's what it makes. Okay, so surprises for you or any teams that you want to pick on here to go higher or lower, Damian, in the Western Conference?
I would say Vancouver, San Diego high, but San Diego just dominated their opening Champions Cup series. So
I know.
I think 3 is still a good spot there. Vancouver might be too high. I see the Galaxy at 4th or 5th, maybe 3rd if everything breaks right.
Right.
And then from 6 to 15, who knows?
it is a mess, isn't it?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, Salt Lake's 11. Yeah, I don't know. From 6 to 15 is just a
it
just
could be
a puzzle.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And that's how it usually is in the Western Conference. I think LAFC is rightfully the one. I can understand the juice behind them and sort of why they're there. I have no problems with that. Vancouver's too high for me. Put them in like 5th or 6th. I feel like there's regression coming. Or they're like got this super huge chip on their shoulder and they're ready to repeat the magic that they had last year. I don't know. I don't know that if I can believe them yet, but I'll let them sort of, let's let them marinate there in the whole problem. I don't have much of an issue. I think the Galaxy in 3rd, 4th, 5th is probably the correct answer. So I have no problems with that. Austin FC is way too high. The rent's just too damn high. Austin FC too high for me. San Jose Earthquakes too low. Bruce is going to have them into that 9th, 8th spot right there. I guarantee it. It doesn't matter how many people they give away because they forgot to exercise options. They will find a way to get it. So if we're always with Seattle in that like 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, like anywhere above like 5th, Seattle's going to be there is probably every year. Then you with Bruce Arena, you must trust. And so to me, he's higher, and he's going to be in that 7, 8, 9 spot right there. Sporting Kansas City may get relegated this year. I would like to point that out. That may actually happen. They may have to get rid of that team. I don't know. That's a scary thought. So anyway, I told you that we would find out what put the LA Galaxy in 5th. So let's do that because it is quite the journey we're about to go on. You can come in here and see some of the people who have voted for where the LA Galaxy are at. Steve Cangelosi from the New York side of things in 6th, have the LA Galaxy at 6th in the Western Conference. Let's see who else. Tony Husband and 4th in the Western Conference. Sasha Kleshin, everybody loves to hate him. 4th in the Western Conference. Caitlin Kyle has the Galaxy at 5th. Lori Lindsay has them in 6th. I got to meet Lori Lindsay. She's a delightful, amazing soccer player. Such a cool person. I didn't know I was meeting her whenever I did, so I was like, oh yeah, I know who you are. Cool. It was one of those. But yeah, so wonderful. Dax McCarty 7, nobody likes Dax, so that's fine. 7th is all the way in there. The joke for Dax. Actually, I really do love Dax McCarty, by the way. I think he's funny. He's funny, a really funny dude. But he would have had the Galaxy higher, but his step stool didn't get that high because he's too short. He couldn't reach up. That's as high as he could go with 7th. Bruno Vane, 10th in the Western Conference, which is sort of an outlier. There is one outlier I think we have to point out because it's like the judging in the Olympics sometimes where you have to throw out the lowest and the highest because something goofy's going on. But Max Bretos has the LA Galaxy finishing 12th in the Western Conference. 12th. Now, listen, if I may defend Max Bretos, which I don't think I should, but I'm going to anyway, the LA Galaxy were slightly just barely above a wooden spoon season last year, right? But I don't think there's many people who have seen the LA Galaxy who've said, oh yeah, that's where they're going to be this year with all of the additions they had. They had one of the better off seasons in all of Major League Soccer, and Miami had probably the best off season only because Miami gets to rent people for $7 where everybody else has to buy them for $30 million. So, yeah, it is what it is. But
I think
go ahead.
The Galaxy, if you added these pieces with a healthy Ricky Puig, you're fighting for the league. You're fighting for the West. You're one of the favorites to win MLS Cup. To add them, without Ricky, this team it has to be a third to 5th place, 3rd, 4th, or 5th place team. If everything breaks right. I mean, there's no injuries, like I said a couple weeks ago, this team should not contend for a league, but make the playoffs.
Right.
Upper half of the league.
Right.
Of the West, and go from there.
By the way, if you want to play the average games, let's toss out the 2 highest and the 2 lowest, right, type thing. You would toss the LA Galaxy, you would toss a couple of the 4ths that are out of there, and then you would toss the 10th and the 12th, and the Galaxy would still probably end up 4th or 5th right in there is probably the average where it all goes. But it's all fun and games. These people are guessing, and it's, by the way, we're going to be 2 months into the season and be like, how did we not see that Austin FC was going to be the best team in Major League Soccer? That's crazy. Well, of course, because they have these people. I am every year this league just makes me scratch my head, and I'm like, I have no idea what's coming next. So that's something. There's going to be a surprise, and so maybe my surprise this year is that San Jose is going to fight for a top 4 spot in the Western Conference, or on the Eastern side of things. I think a surprise would be Nashville being really, really good, like maybe up above Miami sometimes, depending on how that plays out. By the way, I think you made everybody sad in the chat room. You're like, if you add Ricky Pooch to this, like, yeah, well, I almost don't even like to bring it up with people who like work for the Galaxy. It's like, well, if Ricky would, no, let's not talk. It's too close. It's too soon. We can't handle it. So, all those things are fun to see. So again, if you remember, I'm just going to show you this calendar one more time because I made the calendar, so I'm kind of proud of it. If we go look at this calendar, the LA Galaxy have this game in Panama, then is opening day at Dignity Health Sports Park, where it is New York City coming to play on the 22nd. There is so much going on. The countdown to kickoff is on. So there is all sorts of different things. I have some of it up here on the screen. So Tuesday, 2/17, which is tomorrow, as we're recording on a Monday, you have, proudly serving Hermosa, beach fan discount, right? Hermosa Beach is proudly serving Hermosa Beach fan discounts from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Team store discount Wednesday through Friday at the team store. That's something that's going on 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Wednesday through Friday. So you can go there. Thursday is the Concacaf Champions Cup watch party, kickoff at 5 p.m. Party at Absolution Brewery. You have Via's Taco collab opens at 12 p.m. at the Highland Park location. You Steelcraft Bellflower all day fan discount there on 2/21. So there's a lot of things. We can run through more of them. Again, wear your LA Galaxy merch to unlock 15% off burger specials and enterprise drawings at Proudly Serving. So that's in Hermosa Beach. That's going to be awesome. Purchase any item at the LA Galaxy team store Wednesday through Friday and get a scarf for $5. Damian, listen, I don't know if people know this. You need to start buying scarves because the schedule's going to switch, and it's going to be cold all the time. We're going to be wearing scarves.
Cold, yeah, it's
going to be cold. So, like, we would be playing right now. Like, we'd be playing today, and it would be coming back from winter break. That's what we're thinking. So you need a scarf, and you're going to need rain jackets. So you need to go $5 scarf at the team store. We talked about the watch party Thursday, February 19th, kickoff at 5 p.m. Absolution Brewing Company, and then the first 150 fans at Via's Tacos wearing LA Galaxy merch get 2 free tacos. Man, I need to get some free tacos. I love tacos. Tacos are so good. Wear your LA Galaxy merch at Steelcraft to unlock discounts at various locations within Steelcraft Bellflower. They have the item pickup. If you purchase a ticket pack, pick up the beautiful game shirt or the Jewish Heritage scarf at the team pickup booth behind Soccer Fest. That's coming up at the home opener there. Cosmos Cadets Galactic Packs. That's something that I actually have one of those because it's awesome. Also, Cosmo, I have to say this. Cosmo, I forgot to give you your jersey, so I have a corner of the Galaxy jersey for Cosmo, and we were going to swap at Coachella, and then I got busy and I forgot. And so we will, Cos, I got you, bud. I'll bring it eventually whenever I get there, but we'll get you hooked up. Let's see, Modelo Title Night, so and Soccer Fest activation at the deck. So Lionhead DJ stage, temporary tattoos, beer samples, all that's coming up. Let's see, signed 2024 MLS Cup shorts. That's what you need. Is lots of player shorts. Yeah.
Are they clean?
I don't know, and I'm sure they pay more money for them not being clean. Play-by-play, going on at the stadium. DJ is showing up for the opener, so 222. That's the LA Galaxy home number. Is it a craze? A craze? I don't know. I don't know DJs, and I'm not cool enough to know them, and you guys know that about me already. So, Damian's the cool person here. He's the DJ guy, and he goes out late and parties all the time. So it'll be a lot of fun. But that's sort of where we're at. Listen, the Panama game is going to be on FS2. So that's where you're going to want to do it. I heard that there were some free subscriptions for Fubo TV that has like that has FS2 on it if you're trying to find it. So you can find that and then make sure you set your reminder to cancel that. So that way you don't have to pay for it whenever it comes up for pay time. As it comes to the LA Galaxy's game coming up on on Sunday. It's really going to be about what happens down in Panama for me, about how that sort of puts up. But I do expect that there's an A lineup hitting against New York City whenever that comes out. And no Edwin Cerrillo for that game. That's a reminder, suspended for yellow cards. Justin Hack will be there. So we do expect that Hack will play as 6, and then that's one way you can get Garces on the field with Glesnes if you wanted to. Or it's Maya Yoshida and Glesnes. That's also something that you could absolutely do and play. So Greg talking about rotating minutes through Maya and through Glesnes and making sure those guys are always not only ready to go, ready to play, but are fresh enough to do that whenever that happens. So that's it. But the preseason's over, Damian. I mean,
over.
This is where it's at now. Is there success for the LA Galaxy? Just in broad terms, is there success for the LA Galaxy in 2026?
Yeah. I mean, hey, you can't be any worse than you were last year.
You technically can, but it would be really hard.
But if you do this year, we're looking at a whole override and by midseason, and that's all a headache. So I think this team will figure things out. Like I say, I expect them to be in the playoffs, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th in that area right there. You just got to get back in the playoffs after coming off of last year. Then that getting in sort of sets you up for whatever 26 and the 27 season looks like, and then the calendar switch, whatever that looks like going forward there. But I think this is the big year to get things sort of turned around there.
That was breaking. There was breaking news on that front, which is whenever they do the sprint season, which is sort of what it seems like MLS execs are calling this, like little sprint season that they have next year. There will be no jerseys, no new jerseys for that. You're not getting I think they should have little all of the logos should have a little sprint like it's moving fast or something. Like all of them should just do everybody has the same thing. But there are no new kits coming for just that. The new kits will hit whenever it goes 27, 28, whenever they kick off in August or July, whenever that eventually starts. So that's where it is. And by the way, somebody asked, how many competitions are the LA Galaxy in this year? There's just 2. There's MLS
just 2.
and this Concacaf Champions Cup. There is no Leagues Cup. There's no Open Cup for the LA Galaxy. So that's always interesting to look. Yeah. But yeah, which by the way, at one point puts the LA Galaxy. They're going to go away for World Cup break, which is 6 weeks, and then they're going to come back. They play the week before the World Cup final against LAFC. And then eventually that transitions not too far from that into Leagues Cup. And there will be no games in Leagues Cup either. It's we're going to go and stop and go, and so that's something that we'll watch as they go to. And the first round of Leagues Cup is going to be a Monday, Wednesday, or a Saturday, Wednesday, Sunday, sort of thing for the teams that are in it. And then they'll play midweek after that, a lot like it was last year. But they're also talking about, and I don't know if they're going to do it this year, they're talking about actually having Mexican teams host some of these games. So that is something that I think not a lot of people have been asking for it, but I think it adds more validation to a tournament whenever you have them being able to play at home, play away, and do all those sort of things. But I know Scott French is definitely one person who wants to see that. So yeah, every time I know. So always good. Love me some Scott for sure. All right. That's where I'm sort of at now. We can talk. Let's give our predictions if you don't mind, Damian. Totally. If you can't do it, because some people are like, I can't give predictions. That would whatever. You don't have to. But predictions. I think the Galaxy are going to win 2-1 down in Panama. And I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw against New York City. You watch, just because I want everybody to just be on pins and needles for the next game and sort of see how that is. So that's sort of my look at 2 of these. And I remind you that this is the only show this week because Josh is on vacation starting about Wednesday. So I will be back, and I will be at the stadium for whenever Sam Miguelito comes in and plays the return. And then, of course, back at for the end against Charlotte there as well to round out the month of February. So those are my. Would you like to share your predictions there?
2-1 in Panama, 3-2 against NYCFC.
So much fun. All right, there we go. That's what we like to do. Kick it off early here on the podcast.
Get some goals. Get everybody excited.
Should be fun. Welcome to the season, LA Galaxy fans. It is now here upon us. So get ready, buckle up, because I have a feeling this one could be a crazy one. And by the way, the lack of competitions for the LA Galaxy might be a benefit. It might not be, but it might be a benefit where they have this really deep team and they don't have to play a ton of games. And they'll also, I mean, I think semis is where you're looking for the LA Galaxy in terms of CONCACAF Champions Cup. Get them through basically the first 2 rounds pretty easily, win another game, and then see sort of where you flip the coin after that and who you get, because you're going to get into some Mexican teams and they're going to be, it's the competition level is going to be real in that. So that's where I'm going at. All right. That's what we have. I apologize for only having one show this week. I try to go on vacation once every 3.5, 4 years, and this is it. So that's where I'll be off to. But as always, you can check us out anywhere you need to, cornerofthegalaxy.com, and we'll be around, and I'll try to watch all of these games and be on the social media for everybody as we go. All right, Damian, anything else you want to tell everybody?
I will not be on vacation. I will be at Dignity Home Sports, Home Dignity, whatever they call the stadium now.
Yep.
For the next, I'll be there forever.
Forever.
It's Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. I'm actually excited for this season. Not excited. I have so many preview stories to write in the next couple of days. But other than that, I'm looking forward to this season. I think this is going to be a turnaround season for the group. And let's see how it all plays out here.
All right, Damian, tell people where they can find you over there at the Southern California News Group.
Wherever. Orange County Register, LA Daily News, Riverside, and Press Enterprise. All my Galaxy coverage is all through the papers up and down Southern California. Let's go.
All right, at Damian Calhoun, if you're looking for him in the socials there. If you're looking for me on socials, at Galaxy Podcast, cornerofthegalaxy.com, and of course, head on over anywhere you can find your podcast. You can type in Corner of the Galaxy. We're excited to bring you season number 18 of Corner of the Galaxy as the LA Galaxy get ready to face off against the MLS season and the CONCACAF Champions Cup. First game coming up on Thursday, then Sunday. So CONCACAF Champions Cup coming up on Thursday night. Everybody get ready. For Mr. Damian Calhoun stepping in for the always wonderful Mr. Kevin Baxter, who's away on Olympic coverage, I'm Josh Patrick Guesman. You've been listening, you've been watching to Corner of the Galaxy from the box on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening, and we ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo. And on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye.